Yo guys, what's up? It's Drew here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Lucky Raspberry. I've wanted to take a look at this exotic and go really in depth with it for a really long time now, but I never had a good way of testing it. Now with Crimson Doubles here though, it takes only a few people to match up together, and the ability cooldowns are really fast. So this gave me a really good opportunity to test out the Lucky Raspberry and see how good it actually is. So before we talk about Lucky Raspberry, let's quickly talk about how arc ball grenades work. So essentially when you throw them, they land on an object or hit an object, and after that initial impact, they do a 360 scan of an area and then chain to the first enemy found within that radius. And after connecting to a target, it'll connect to other targets within a very similar radius as the initial scan, and it has the potential to continually chain to multiple enemies within a similar proximity of each other. Based on my PvE tests and what I can recall from using these in PvP, arc bolts can chain up to 4 enemies at a time, which is pretty good for PvP because you won't be going up against any more than 4 enemies in this given iteration of Destiny 2. So it's easy to tell why arc bolts are a powerful choice in PvP, but now let's talk about Lucky Raspberry. So the first effect of the Lucky Raspberry is it apparently increases the chaining quote-unquote capabilities of arc bolts. Now I'm not sure what exactly that is. It's pretty open-ended. It's not very specific as to what it does for arc bolts, so we'll be taking a look into that. And then secondly, it has a chance to recharge your arc ball grenade each time it deals damage, which is interesting as well. Firstly, I'm most interested in the probability that you actually have to getting your arc ball back after dealing damage with it, so we're going to be taking a look at that first. While testing for the probability of resets, the party I was testing with and I decided to throw arc ball grenades and alternate between 2 people to avoid any possible inconsistencies with throwing at just a single target. So to test the probability, I threw 100 arc ball grenades, again alternating between each person, and out of each of those 100 damage tags, my arc bolt charge reset 25 times. Now with this small sample, we can assume that there's a 25% chance of getting your arc bolt back after 1 damage tag on an enemy. Of course, it's hard to find the true probability of the charge resetting with each individual arc bolt tag, but again, with this small sample, we're given an idea of what to expect. Remember also that chaining your arc bolt to multiple enemies isn't going to stack your probability. It's just going to give you that chance to reset your charge twice. So in relation to our small sample or test, throwing 1 arc ball grenade and getting 2 tags is the equivalent of throwing 2 nades with our test. It's also worth mentioning that when the resets did occur, when it did reset our charge, it felt like sometimes it came in waves, like you'd get 2 or 3 resets at a time and then maybe none for a while. I'm not sure if this is done purposely or if there's an algorithm that somewhat favors this in some way, nor is there really any way to specifically tell this, but I think it was an observation worth mentioning. Now let's move on to that other loose-ended perk, increasing the chaining capabilities of arc bolts. In my test, I tried to compare the range of a normal arc bolt versus a Lucky Raspberry arc bolt. Firstly, I tested the maximum range from the point of impact of the grenade and its scan to a person, so how far it can actually tag someone from the initial impact. And then in the next test, I tried to see the range in which it can tag players from player to player. In both of these tests, there were no differences between a normal arc bolt and a Lucky Raspberry arc bolt. This was quite disappointing to me because I think a lot of people get the impression that this increased chaining quote-unquote capability is probably some sort of increased range, or in my opinion, that'd be the most influential thing that it could do. I couldn't really think of anything else that this would be able to do in regards to chaining, and definitely comment if you think I missed something, but I did go to PvE and try to tag as many enemies as I could with a normal arc bolt versus a Lucky Raspberry arc bolt, and in PvE I was able to tag 4 enemies with a basic arc bolt. However, with Lucky Raspberry, I was able to chain 5 enemies together. Now, I'm not sure if this is the increased chaining capability it speaks of on the perk, but it seems to be the only noticeable difference that I can find, which unfortunately has no real effect in PvP because currently you're only going against 4 people. And even if you were going against 6, it's very slim odds that you are going to chain 5 people with an arc bolt. So is this worth using? In my opinion, no. Arc bolts don't really get much of an improvement overall from using this, and the benefits otherwise are random, so you never really know when it's going to kick in or how often it's going to kick in. And if a game is 10 minutes on average, and for argument's sake we get a grenade every minute, that means we get 10 arc bolt grenades tops, and using our probability of 25% of the time we're going to get a reset, we'll say you're going to get between 2 to 4 resets. Again, counting, let's say that the arc bolt resets actually do come in waves, you're going to get between 2 to 4 resets, we'll say, per game, which means your 10 nades per game turns into a potential 12 to 14 grenades if you use them immediately. Personally, to me, that's not a drastic enough change to put an exotic towards as opposed to some others, because Gemini Jesters, Stompies, Knucklehead Radar, Shinobu's Vow, and the list goes on, are all other exotics that give a guaranteed effect that you can expect and play for and still have a pretty good influence on the game and your playstyle. I mean, if you like Lucky Raspberry and you've been getting lucky with it, terrible pun, I'm sorry, totally go for it. But in my opinion, when comparing it to other exotics, the effect isn't beneficial enough to warrant relying on RNG to receive it. So guys, that's my thoughts and my analysis or breakdown of the Lucky Raspberry. Tell me your thoughts on the matter down below in the comment section. Is this an exotic that you think is worth it? Do you think it's worth using after seeing this information? I'd like to know, so tell me in the comments. And of course, if you are interested in our emblem giveaway, don't forget to leave your BattleNet, your gamertag, or your PSN with your thoughts in your comment below. And if you aren't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll be giving away the emblem on the upload on the 20th. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, it's been Drew here today, and I'll catch you guys later.